Ladies and gentlemen, it's time. You've been waiting for an AMA for Gala Games. Not only do I have Bitbender here, he is the president of blockchain. He is the path of the berserker. He's got a Viking helmet. He's got a lot of different things. Borderlands hat as well. But I've got here a new addition to the Gala Games fam. We've got Neil here that has never been on the channel before. And I'm not going to say anything, but they have been hyping the living heck out of what Neil has been building. So, to say the least, you better have big things to show here because people...
We got big things.
Okay, you've got big things. Like, you say that a lot, but do we really have big things here?
We really have big things, man. We really have big things. I'm super excited about this. Neil, so can I do some context setting here? I'm gonna
Absolutely.
Do some context setting.
Go for it,
okay, so here's the context setting. So Neil, actually, you know what? Fuck it, Neil. Tell them who you are first. Let's do this. Let's do that, and then we'll do the.
We're doing an interview
setting.
here. Go for it.
Okay. So yeah, I like I said, I've been in gaming for a long time, and what I'm trying to do right now is use the skills and knowledge that I've gained from gaming, and utilize it to create fun, cool experiments in the real world. So can we, gamify people being compassionate towards each other, like people. Commendable actions, as one person put it in the Gala Gold community, right? So yeah, I want to see, can we make education addictive? Can we make just interacting with each other in a positive culture more favorable?
Okay.
So I think that what we're getting to here is that everyone needs to know who Neil is. Okay, Neil's been in gaming for a long time. Neil is the founder and CEO of a social media company called Rep, which is the social media company that you need to know about. Right now, in terms of social media, you've got a couple choices. You've got Facebook, where your favorite grandmother posts crazy things. Occasionally cat pictures, dogs eating human food, and golden retrievers wearing pantyhose. I don't know why that's a thing, but it is.
So cute.
You have the X, or the application formerly known as Twitter, or that, which is, it's got its issues these days a little bit. You've got Threads, which is still bobbing in the surface of the social media soup as this weird, sad outgrowth of Instagram. One of the things that I said because I have Threads too, right? I tried it out because I figured, I probably should check it out, and at the very least go reserve my name so that somebody else doesn't become me.
Now you're stuck there. I mean, they
no, I am stuck there. Well, no, but that's the problem is I don't actually have it. I mean, I have an Instagram account. I never use it. And which means that Threads is completely useless to me, because Threads only matters if you've ever been to Instagram, saw a picture of somebody's avocado toast, and thought, you know what, I'd really like to see long form content from this person.
Mindless content on how to 100x your money in 3 days off their course from Instagram.
Nobody's ever done that. Nobody's ever seen something on Instagram and thought, you know what, a deeper conversation with this person.
Yeah,
this is look at that. Nobody's ever done that. So basically, TLDR, social media is broken. Rep is fixing it, and the way that Rep is fixing it is by giving people actual ownership of their data, giving people actual ownership of their privacy. If you would like a horror story, go read the Threads privacy policy.
Oh, that's long.
Dude, not only, well, yeah, of course, because they don't want you to read it. I mean, they're going to put, all of frickin' Anna Karenina in there before you get to the actual points, just so you stop reading it. That's what Rep is doing. And Rep is doing that on Gala Chain, which I think is super cool. So
yeah, I mean, it sounds pretty epic. So immediately out of the blue here, just thoughts coming into my brain. First off, you're talking about you want to reward people for favorable actions, right? So for having a nice interaction, say, hey, you got a nice little shirt. I love your hoodie, etc. Maybe Gala hoodie one day. And you get something for it, right?
Was he sent you the stuff, right?
Eventually. I still haven't gotten it, but it's fine. It's perfectly fine.
You're gonna get it. We've done this
eventually, yeah. And then we'll flex it, and then use code Classy, all of it. But I get Black Mirror vibes. I think okay, now people are just going to be fake with each other. They're just going to do fake interactions that are going to mean absolutely nothing. Like, is there any way that you are going to moderate this or you're just going to let people just become Black Mirror 2.0?
Hey, it wouldn't be an experiment if I was moderating anything. You know, it's
Nope.
like you launch it with good intentions, and you see how the
You
culture.
let people do what they do. Yes,
Yeah.
that's fair. Yeah, and then
it's going to be interesting.
No moderation at all is what you're telling me, essentially.
Well, I mean, I think that the idea here behind this, and I don't want to go too far down the rabbit hole here because things get really, really weird the further down that rabbit hole you go. But ultimately, at the end of the day, what you really want is community moderation. You want your own community to police itself and to reject bad actors. Now, what that means is that you are going to have places where you have little tiny clusters of total complete jackasses who are unacceptable to everyone but themselves, hiding in an angry little room together, which I believe we just call most of the rest of the internet. And so, you know, I mean, I don't see that as being any particularly different thing here. The idea here behind this, though, and one of the things that I think is super cool is that you have Rep. Okay, Rep is, think of it as the social media substrate upon which this new internet can be based. And then within that, you have these communities. Okay,
it's a bunch of subsections. Yeah.
So you could look at them as you know, almost like a private label social network. Okay, we need to come up with some better terminology for that, I think, because I think it's confusing for people. But the idea is essentially, you know, for example, we're starting off with Gala Friends. Gala Friends is the first thing that Rep is building on Gala Chain.
Yeah.
Now, later, you could go and create the Classy Gaming Club. Okay, and it can be your own private network of just people who are your subscribers.
Yeah.
Okay, or just people who, you know, really like, you know, cupcakes, or, you know, like whatever
kind of like
your
a page
thing
on
is.
Facebook where you have dedicated posts on there.
A little bit, but much more deeply involved. And the important thing here is that gives you the ability to stay within your little group. Okay, where you are the king in your castle, you are the king in, you know, your little private white label social media network, and you set the policies there, and you'll have the ability then for your users to come in and toggle between, do I want to be part of all of this, or do I just want to see this thing, or which things do I want to see, and
like
pick and choose.
your feed.
You curate your feed, but curate your whole experience, not just your feed. I mean, one of the things that pissed me off, it's like 4 days after I started using Facebook, back in the day, was I had gotten used to Facebook, and I'm like, oh, this is kind of interesting. It's a little, you know, hey, this works. Hey, here's my friend. I'm going to send them a message. Yay. Right. And then Facebook, you know, every 2 weeks completely changed their layout to optimize and try to find the new thing, and suddenly you have to find all the crap again, and, you know, the stuff that you wanted isn't there anymore. Massive pain in the ass.
Every social media app does that. Yeah.
Right. But what if they didn't? What if you could customize your own experience?
Yeah, it reminds me a lot of how Steam does it. Like, you guys are giving me big Steam vibes, because you hop on Steam, there are profiles that you could buy on there, and you kind of modularize it where you get to put PFPs and showcase items, and then you've got your games that you've played the most. Obviously, I feel like what you're trying to do is a little bit more advanced, right? To step up on that on every single part of your feed. Because on Steam, you have your marketplace, you have your library, but you can't change it. Like, I can't drag it and then throw it over there, take it off like Photoshop. It's like you have it there and you can't do anything about it. So that's awesome. So for Gala people, they're super excited about Gala Friends, but I don't think they really understand what Gala Friends is.
No, they don't.
They don't, right? Explain to them what Gala Friends is.
Okay, so Gala Friends. Okay, so back in the day when Facebook was first launching, okay, and in fact, when some of the best and most powerful internet services and whatnot out there were launching, they launched entirely on this this model, essentially, where you couldn't just go and sign up. Okay, like back when both Gmail and Hotmail first launched,
right?
it was impossible to get a Gmail account. You couldn't go to gmail.com and create
They
an
were
account.
like, what, waitlist?
It was beyond waitlist. You had to get an invite from somebody else.
Oh.
Okay, so
Okay.
if you wanted access to Gmail, which when Gmail first released, it was like light years ahead of everybody else in terms of storage, in terms of availability. Like you remember this, Neil, like when Gmail, and Classy, you're too young.
No, I
Both
definitely
of us were
don't.
probably,
Yeah.
you got, Neil and I were both probably setting up Gmail accounts while you were still on tricycles
womb.
riding around. And yeah. But when you first set up your account, right? Like it's like, holy crap, this is the experience that we've all been waiting for, right? This is amazing. And you could only get it if you knew somebody who had an invite. Gala Gold is your invite. Being part of the Gala ecosystem is your invite.
Oh.
You get to be the first group of new users coming into a new social media phenomena as the core, clear first group that gets invited. Okay. And it's not just a club. It's not just a subreddit. It's not just a little messaging app. It's a social media network. And then you get to be the one to invite your friends to come in. And here's the critical thing. This is the kicker. When you do that, your friends are instantly and immediately set up with a Gala chain address.
Okay. Why?
No friction, because that's how it works. No friction, no pain in the ass onboarding, single sign-on, and you have a Gala chain address.
And let me address the why part.
Yes.
Because the entire social network is at its core has two things, but the main thing in question here is the marketplace. So imagine being able to, like, I can DM you an NFT, and would it, like, how cumbersome it would be if you had to click, like, you had to sign a transaction and you had to worry about private keys and you had to do all of that. In this case, you don't have to do any of that. You just click that NFT and it's automatically in your inventory. Yeah. You can, like, I can trade NFTs back and forth, you know, maybe say I give you a Spider Tank's flamethrower, and then you give me a robots NFT, and, you know, we're kind of got this little economy going on, right? Where we're trading different NFTs that we found each other, found wherever, right? And so the finding part, now this is the next, like, core aspect of this entire structure, is it's not just a social network like you're used to. It's got the map as a core part of it. That means treasure hunts. It's a core part of the social network.
Pokemon Go?
Yeah, exactly. So think of Twitter meets Pokemon Go, or X meets Pokemon Go, right? So it's basically that. But when you combine them together, you get this super synergistic experience that's far, far bigger than Pokemon Go. Because, see, Pokemon Go, when you think about that, it was really just collecting items without an actual story behind it. It's just like, oh, I'm collecting items while walking around the city.
An excuse to go to a park, yeah.
Yeah, in this case, there's actual quests that you can design. Oh, shit.
You look wonderful.
Oh, shit, he's leaking it. All right.
Oh? Is that the app?
Yeah. This is the Gala Friends app. This is one of the things. This is just a video he sent me, so it's not like it's an actual.
Oh, okay. I was about to say.
It's not an actual thing, but, you know, you can see the map. It's a very, you know, Pokemon Go type experience.
Yes, yeah.
You know.
Wait, you mint a chest for being near it?
Okay. Yeah. So the thing is, that chest, that was the invitation flow. So this is something that we were working on, where when you want to get an invitation to the platform and you want to have full access to everything, it's kind of like a fun gamified way of, like, somebody leaving an invite near your place. So if I wanted to invite you, I would click my invite slot and I would select a location on the map, and it would be like, near
you Classy. Have to go over there. Yeah.
And the thing is, the map, you don't actually have to go, like, very far. It's within 50 meters, but yeah, like, you see it on the map, you click it, it's a treasure chest, you click it, and there's your invitation NFT, and now you're you're invited to the platform, you're part of the club. And so everything is around the whole concept of geolocations. So I can place a treasure chest with an NFT inside, with tokens inside, with pictures, videos. So like, yeah, and not just Gala NFTs. Like we can have we can have Gala music NFTs. We can do whatever we want. And
Yeah.
I think it has a lot more meaning when you have the treasure hunt component, combined with the social network.
Yeah, there was this game. So I got into this this cryptocurrency. It was like an IPO on it, and they had this really cool idea, right? Where they were gonna go ahead and during these physical events, they're not crypto anymore, so all this is like irrelevant. But I like the idea where during like NFT NYC, you would have like this giant raid boss where a bunch of people would go ahead and fight to the death with this, and a bunch of people would onboard to the game. There would be like some tokens or something and some incentive to get there. I already imagine the next Comic-Con, Gala just throws a bunch of rep tokens or Gala tokens or something out there. We'll get deeper into that later. And then a bunch of people get invitations, and then it just like Ponzi-nomics, everybody's invited into rep, right? Why are you geolocating it though? Like, why can't we just start inviting everyone from everywhere? Is it supposed to be like some exclusive club where we just from the ground up, Gala Gold just builds this epic app, or is it something greater?
Well, so the invite concept there was more to kind of have a gamified KYC. So I'll explain a little bit. And this is something we will tweak and we will change, right? And the idea there is, how do you invite people and give them all this massive functionality? So imagine if you had the functionality to place your treasure chest anywhere. So a treasure chest for your girlfriend or something like that, right? Like maybe she places a treasure chest for you, to motivate you to run to the park, and then you open it, and then there's like this virtual rose that or so cute, I don't know. Yeah. Guys don't really necessarily like getting flowers, but or you get this like, hey, kudos, you did it, you stuck to your goals, a big kiss, right?
The thing that I really want to dig in on here is the implication for the ecosystem as a whole. When you start looking at what this means in terms of adoption for, Gala chain, what this means for, consumptive use for, a variety of different things, the way that the node ecosystem for rep works kind of across the board, the way that I've been looking at this is, so I don't know if you know this, Classy, but the Gala Games founders node ecosystem represents from 30 to 50% of IPFS globally. Okay. Now, that's a crazy number that most people are not really aware of, but it's huge. Now, the reason that this is interesting is that the amount of data that a social media network requires is astronomical. Okay. Especially if you start getting into doing things like, your really crazy data. Now, the IPFS has this concept of taking out the garbage, right? And what that essentially means is that if a file isn't accessed over a certain period of time, it is no longer pinned as prevalently, which means that file isn't refreshed, which means that it has the potential to get overwritten. Okay. Now, what this means for you as a normal social media user, okay, you probably, I think that the number that IPFS gives is that most websites are essentially rewritten every 100 days. Okay. Like that's like 110 days or something. I forget what the statistic is, but most data doesn't actually really need persistence beyond that. And so a lot of times this stuff gets pruned out of IPFS in taking out the garbage. Okay. Now the only way that it sticks around is if they pin it. Okay. So there are third-party pinning services that maintain IPFS nodes that essentially always keep certain content there and never get rid of it. That means that content is pinned to the network and is constantly refreshed. We do this obviously with all of our NFTs. But if you're just putting out a social media post, okay, and it's not a super important post, okay, like my tweets from 8 years ago aren't super important. Okay, it was mostly auto posted things from Reddit about cool historical pictures. Not a super interesting. I mean, fascinating for me. There's like 20,000 of the damn things, but they probably don't need to exist. And so, if this was on IPFS, those would gradually be pruned out. But if I don't want them to be pruned out, then one of the things that I can do is I can incentivize the pinning of that tweet. I can use rep tokens or Gala tokens to essentially pin a tweet so that it always stays, so that it will always be, or not a tweet, a rep post. Sorry, I don't even think they're called tweets on Twitter anymore, but a post.
Still,
right?
yeah.
You pin that post, and so that post now is, stays. It sticks around. Taking this a step further, if you start looking at a node as your own social media, almost like a network attached storage, suddenly your node now becomes the home for all of your social media life. And it holds that forever and makes sure that it's always in the network because it's your node.
Okay.
And so it's super cool when you start, breaking it down again.
Yeah, I think we need to break it down because you've mentioned two things we haven't even talked about. You talked about a token. Apparently, there's a rep token now, and
there will be
nodes. Let's get into the token first, and then we'll get into the nodes. So, why do we care about rep tokens?
Sure. One second. Let me
beautiful
taking a picture for the Gala Gold right now. And let them know that we're talking. So basically, though, couple things. Rep is not a Gala company. Okay. This is not our project. Neil does not work for Gala. We have a relationship together, and the way that this happened essentially is Neil reached out to Eric because Eric, Benefactor is what everybody knows him as in Discord. Interviewed Neil at Zynga like 700 years.
Yeah, like 15 years ago. Yeah.
Wow. When I was born. Yeah.
Yeah. So children, man. So Eric interviewed Neil at Zynga forever ago, and Neil sent in some inbound to Eric. Eric kicked it over to me. Neil and I connected, and we've moved forward with it from there, and we're building this out. But Neil has been working on this for some time, and it's a live product already, as you can see, okay, and has been built on the near test net, which probably isn't going to work in the long term for what they really want to do. This is why
migrating over to Gala chain.
That's right. That's correct. They're migrating over to Gala chain. So given the fact that it's not our company, it's not our product, okay, it is Neil's company and Neil's product, obviously people who are coming to Gala chain are going to want to have their own tokens, and they should be able to have their own tokens. The only part of that is that Gala, because it is Gala chain, is still the gas token on the ecosystem.
It's just like launching an ERC20 token, essentially.
Exactly.
Okay.
So that's very much what is going on with Rep in that regard. So it's going to have its own token. It's going to do its own thing. I am assisting and consulting a little bit on the tokenomics and whatnot, but it's very much their thing. The nodes, on the other hand, are something that is very unique to the Gala ecosystem, because we have the ability to spin up workloads that can do certain things that can support the network. Now, you've seen this before with Last Expedition nodes where you can play games on them. Your rep nodes will essentially be the home of your social media presence on the internet, in a persistent fashion. Okay, as opposed to what we were just talking about with
the 100 days,
IPFS and all of that. It'll still use IPFS. It will still support IPFS. It will be a massive contributing part of IPFS, and will, potentially in the long run make up I can see this growing very quickly and taking up a lot of IPFS. So like that's a very critical part of this. But looking at it from that perspective of becoming your home on social media,
it stores everything.
Stores all of your stuff.
Maybe you can explain to some of the people that are maybe on Twitter, right? And they love X.com now, actually. They've got tweets.
I'm on Twitter. I'm a big
we all love it. We all love it. We're crypto, right? But a decade ago, I did a tweet. It's still there.
Sure. Well, but here, let me talk about this for a second.
Okay.
Though. This is important because you did a tweet from a decade ago, and it is still there.
Yes.
Okay. Your tweet and Twitter at the very beginning was 140 characters, right?
Okay.
So it was 140 characters they were like 512 pixel images. Okay, so 140 characters. Oh no, let's see. Okay, so 140 characters is 1,120 bits. It's slightly under 1 kilobyte.
Okay.
I'm sorry, it's slightly under one. No, it is under 1 kilobyte, much under 1 kilobyte. Anyway, point is tiny, no data, like almost no data, basically nothing. Okay. Now, over the last 6 months, X, if you will, has just started releasing the ability to put video, like long form content video,
Yeah.
on Twitter. I'm just going to keep calling it Twitter because I can't just call it X. It's weird.
You'll get used to it eventually. Yeah.
Long form content on Twitter. Now, you'll notice if you go look at that upload thing, they still ask you, "Hey guys, pump the brakes. Can you stick with 1080p? Please don't feed us 4K." Right? You've seen that, right?
Right.
Okay. So this is the thing: is that when you're operating a centralized, gigantic social media company, it is the duty of that centralized, gigantic social media company to store all your shit. Okay, which is horrendously expensive. Okay, horrendously expensive. Now, when we're building in this space, okay, if you don't want your stuff stored, like yes, you can go back and look at that tweet from 10 years ago. How many times have you done that?
Once.
Once. You did it one time, and was that 10 years ago?
To look
or was
back
that
at it. Yeah.
half years ago?
Exactly.
Okay, like you get my point, right? So most of the stuff, if it gets pruned out, it doesn't really matter. But then if you look at this from the perspective of like, okay, well, what does this mean if I do want that stuff to be persistent? What if I do want to have large content video? What if I do want to have massive long format posts? Okay, then it starts to make sense, and you start to realize like, okay, well, if I'm running a node and people are paying for things to be persistent, okay, I'm storing that data. They're going to be giving me something for storing that data. I'm storing my own data. Okay. And because I've paid to have that node, I'm not having to pay anyone else necessarily to store it because it's already going into the system. Okay. So it doesn't have to have a pinning service attached to it because your node is your pinning service at that point. Okay. You begin to see how this whole different ecosystem of data and data retention and data privacy and all of these things and self-sovereignty all come together in a very, very dynamic and interesting fashion.
Yeah, and for the people that run nodes, because I know some people go to Vulkan and all these different virtual provider services, right, for their nodes. I mean, how do they access all that data? I mean, like, let's say their node goes down one day. Like, how would they look back at all this? Is this just like part of the app, or?
No. So if your node goes down, your data is still on IPFS. That's the thing, is your node is acting as a pinning service to post that stuff to IPFS. Okay. But if the node goes down and those pins go down, eventually over time, that stuff will get taken out with the trash.
Okay. So you should leave it up. And so there's an incentive to keep it up because people pay rep tokens to people that have these nodes. And is it random, or do people specifically target people that have nodes that are
so here's the thing is this can be done in a few different ways. Okay. I'm sorry, Neil. I'm just running my fucking mouth here. Are you okay with this, man?
Yeah, all good.
Okay, so basically, there's a few different things that I find particularly interesting about this. The first is the attention economy. Okay, now, what things get retained? Okay, when we look at sort of the important components of our daily life. Okay, is the one time that somebody called and you wrote a phone number down on a Post-it note, okay, and you stuck it to the fridge, and you told your mom to call, or you forgot to tell your mom to call, and it was just this mystery number stuck on the fridge, and then eventually the sticky stuff got dusty and it fell off and got vacuumed up. Like, is that an important piece of data that needs to stay around forever?
No, it's not.
Right? However, the letter that the postcard that your grandmother sent you on a trip, okay, that is important, and she shares some piece of news or something like that, right? and you maybe want to keep it, or the old picture that has a note written on the back of it, something that has a great deal of sentimental value, or your signed Michael Jordan picture, whatever, right? Like, these are things that have relevancy and matter to you. Okay. Now, the cool thing about this is let's say you make a post on Rep. Okay. I think it's a cool post, so I go give it a thumbs up, right? Now, if I do that, that signifies, hey, this post is important. So let's hang on to this post. Let's hang on to this post for a little bit, because it may get more traffic. It may get more engagement. People may want to see this more. Okay. Now, let's say that we fast forward a little bit, and Classy is the #1 content creator on the internet. Mr. Beast is blowing you up because he really wants to collab with you, but you just don't have time for that. Okay. And Classy is dominating, right? Now, if I want to get Classy's attention, okay, I go put a reply on Classy's post, and then I boost my own reply. I essentially pay Classy to pay attention to the shit that I have done. Okay. Now, if you want to get what I've just paid into the ecosystem, the energy that I've just put in there, you have to do something with my post.
I like it.
You have to like it. You have to reply to it. You have to delete it. You have to do anything. It doesn't matter what you do with it, but you will have seen it. And then I know that Classy has seen my post. Okay. Now, what does this do in the entire information and attention economy? This rips the roof off of the way that social media works right now. Absolutely rips the roof off of it. And I think that something like this, can fundamentally change the way that social media functions, because right now there's very little, it's all just this really sad grind, okay, of meaningless stuff. What we need to have more content that matters more, with more pressure and power behind it. That's where we get this, and that's what I think Rep is going to bring, and that's why I'm so excited and I'm getting behind it. So that's why I'm getting behind it the way that I am.
Yeah, and will creators be able to set minimums on that? Because you could just spam a bunch of these boosts, right, and just force people to see messages. It could be like a Gala airdrop, like Greg.
There's no reason that they couldn't put a minimum on it.
Okay. That's part of the modularity of the platform.
Yeah, there's all sorts of stuff that we can integrate there that I think is really cool.
Yeah, that's perfect. And so, how much should people be expecting to pay for these nodes, and how many of these nodes are supposed to be out there?
So the way, and this is not fully confirmed yet, so these numbers may be subject to change, but what we're looking at right now is doing an initial soft release just for Founders Node holders and Gala Gold, where it's going to be about $2,500 for a node, and then from there there will also be a discount if you're purchasing that within the first 48 hours, at which point in time the pricing essentially will have a heat up and cool down effect to it. So when lots and lots of people are trying to get nodes, it'll go up, and then when nobody is, it comes back down. So it will hang out somewhere. The market will find a level, but that's the pricing that we're looking at right now.
And those are supposed to become NFTs, the nodes. Is that why you
eventually
it's going to have dynamic pricing?
Happen. Eventually, that's probably what's going to happen.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And so we're looking into this node sale, right? And we're beginning to look into maybe how X used to do things, and how videos are a little bit harder to upload nowadays because it's very expensive to store all this data. And clearly, they're spending billions of dollars on this, right? So it's pretty crazy. What will the average consumer that just gets into Rep, right? What advantage will they have over, X.com just fronting the bill? Is it just the ability to have
the ecosystem? No. The ecosystem still fronts the bill. If you want to be a user, you can come and use it without paying any amount of money.
Right.
It's not a thing, just like X or like Facebook. You shouldn't have to pay to use it. To use it. To have it persist, that's a different issue. If you want it to persist, it either needs to be important. Somebody's got to care about it, essentially.
Right.
Like, and if you don't care about it, why should anybody else? And so that's kind of what that boils down to in terms of the persistence. But generally speaking, you know, it's from a normal user perspective, it should be very painless.
Yeah, I think a lot of content creators will love the fact that the older tweets will be deleted. So that's wonderful. Okay, so let's go into how Rep will sustain itself, because you've got the node sales, you've got all these different things. How will this be less invasive than something like Threads or X.com? How are you supposed to generate revenue? I mean, we all know social media apps, they all prey on data. They just sell data to anyone that buys it.
Right. Well, I mean, this is a pretty critical part of the component here, is that there's also services that can be brought into this. Were you saying something, Neil? Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say that if you look at like how Pokemon Go made money, I mean, they made massive amounts of money. It's not exactly your traditional ads. It's like, so we can have, I mean, we have relationships with sponsors that can drop rewards all over the world, right? In these treasure chests. And, you know, just by you opening these treasure chests and finding the reward and getting the reward, it is still a form of advertising, but it's a much better form of advertising because you just got a gift, you know? So think of it like that. There are many ways in which you can participate in these kinds of like interactive ads that don't really seem like ads, but the sponsor or the person who placed the ad, you know, gets a pretty big win about it. It's using rewards to get your attention to something. Like take the Gala ecosystem, for example. You know, you find an NFT for a new Gala game. Okay. Are you going to check out that game if that new NFT you found was like, you know, on your morning jog to the park and you see it there? It's in a treasure chest. You open it and it's like a new Gala game, a new NFT. Now, when you click that NFT, you just learned about that new game. You didn't see a pop-up ad. You didn't see something that was, you know, annoying. You got a gift. And now you learned about something new. So that's what I mean. And there, obviously, we would get revenue from that, you know. And also at Rep, we have this opt-in to ad policy where if you opt into ads, you get part of that revenue.
That's very interesting. I feel like a lot of it is just gamification of attention, right? That's all it really is. Like you've got these treasure chests. That's how you're going to attempt to monetize. And so, I mean, you'd have to be near it. Sometimes it's physical. Sometimes it's a little bit further. Maybe it's still in the works on exactly how that's going to work.
There's actually going to be a whole augmented reality rollout when the node sale finally goes live for the larger community.
So people will see it?
So people can go and try the treasure hunt part. And there's going to be puzzles and things like that where people will be able to, you know, potentially, win a node and solve a puzzle and things like that. We're doing that in a bunch of different cities around the world. So, you know, it'll be like, watch out for, you know, a bunch of things going on in Los Angeles, New York.
Maybe something will be here. Probably not, but maybe.
Where is here?
In Florida. So maybe like I'll get an
Miami?
Alligator or a crocodile, you know, like I could go wrestle one, get an NFT for it. Like there's so many cool ideas.
I feel like that's a very much Florida man thing.
Yeah.
But so we probably won't make people wrestle alligators, but there's a bunch of other cool stuff. You're like, what are you? You're not
disinterested. I'm out of here.
Whatever.
It's so cool.
Terrible.
You're gonna have a bunch of these events with NFTs. You've been mentioning a lot about games and Gala Gold. I know Gala Gold's always being pushed for games. This is something that constantly drops things. I know there's something for Spider Tanks with Silk. Will you be using Rep for things that are other than just games?
Yes, dude. Of course. Everything. That's the thing. That's like everything. Like that's the thing that I think people aren't seeing this. They're not getting it. I'm not quite sure how I'm not like this is the hands down greatest tool for onboarding users to Gala chain that anyone has ever seen. Okay. It's going to start off with all of our members of Gala Gold. Okay, that's roughly 250,000 people right now are
There's
members
that
of Gala.
many?
There's that many total, I believe.
Wow.
I think it's that many. It may actually be lower now that I'm thinking about it.
That's a
It may
lot
be
of
lower.
people. Yeah.
It's a lot of people. But my point is all of these people, okay, and I think it's like 80. It's a lot, whatever. There's
Yeah.
a bunch of people who are members of Gala Gold. It starts off with that, okay? Each of these people now has become an ambassador to bring people into the next brand new social media experience. Okay, so they have the ability to do that, and then each of those people has the ability to bring other people in as well. And we're also going to be doing saturation campaigns in other cities and campuses around the world. So, if you're in Los Angeles, you're going to be seeing and hearing about this.
I wish.
Now, no, you don't. It's a terrible
I
place.
don't.
The thing that, well, I don't know. You're in Florida. Maybe you do. It's very much a toss up there between those two. The thing that's really important here, again, is that every single one of these people ends up on Gala chain.
In some way or another. And there's
not in some way or another.
They're
definitely on Gala
The second
chain.
they make the account,
they're on Gala chain.
They're on Gala chain.
They're on Gala chain. And what that means is that they have the ability now to be part of this ecosystem without having to go through all of the ridiculous amount of bullshit that blockchain onboarding usually entails. It can be pushed later down the road until they actually want to. And so what does that mean? That means that you like spider tanks, I hear, right?
A little bit.
How cool would it be to be able to have spider tanks have a download? You just download it, you single sign on to spider tanks, and suddenly you're in the game.
Right, because you already have a Gala wallet.
Well, even if you don't, and you just have a single sign-on, you sign in with Google, and boom, you're now playing spider tanks.
This is crazy.
And now, kind of imagine you found a new weapon in the real world. In the park, you just tapped it. You don't have to do any.
I found a weapon in the park.
Yeah. You found like a flamethrower or whatever, right? You found that, right? You just tap it and it's automatically in your inventory. Now you go back to spider tanks. You didn't have to add anything. It's automatically there in your inventory because it's a single sign-on.
We've been waiting for this forever. I don't think people understand. Like spider tanks, the game launchers, just everything when it comes to onboarding has been such a pain in the ass. When is this coming out? Like when am I gonna get my hands on this? Because this seems like something that is like fundamentally needed for Gala chain.
It is.
Yeah.
The timeline, and I'll leave Neil to correct me if I'm correct. They're trying to get the V1 of Gala Friends out by within 90 days.
So 90 days were all Gala Gold people gonna be on Gala Friends?
That's the idea.
Yeah.
Wasn't this supposed to come out next year?
No, I don't know where that idea came from.
I swear I heard it.
Dude, we're talking 90 days. We're talking we're talking by the end of the year.
And what is this V1 gonna have? Like, is it gonna have everything, or is just
not gonna have everything? It's gonna be a simpler version. Okay. It's going to have the ability to post, and the nodes are gonna run.
Tell me it has a marketplace.
Content. Marketplace may come a little later. We'll see on that. Okay. I don't want to get all over Neil's roadmap because that's Neil's thing.
It may have very basic stuff around like NFT, sharing NFTs and stuff like that. But
all we need. Yeah.
Yeah. But you'll definitely have the map. You'll definitely have the Pokemon Go stuff. Like you'd be able to participate in treasure hunts, collect NFTs, and to your point before, music NFTs, any kind of NFTs that are part of the Gala ecosystem.
Yeah.
You'll be able to just pop like, collect it, listen to it, whatever. You'll be able to use it. So
yeah, that's so interesting. And you'll have like real estate listings like Facebook Marketplace, or is this just going to go deeper than that?
It can always go deeper. I mean, that's one of the things that and this is another one of those terminology things, because we actually have two marketplace concepts. One marketplace concept, what Neil has just been talking about, is the marketplace of selling things and NFTs to one another. The other marketplace concept is the marketplace concept of selling customizable widgets to one another. So if you're a developer, I mean, you're too young to remember this.
No, but I know about CS:GO skins. Okay, people develop.
Okay, no. CS:GO skins. That's the first one. Okay, It's the first type of marketplace.
Okay.
Now we're going to talk about the second type of marketplace. Now,
All
what
right.
the second type of marketplace is what I personally feel is the more important one. That's me, though. Okay. So you're too
Debatable.
young to remember MySpace,
No,
right?
I was a part of it. I had a little like dinosaur on there. I was like 4 years old. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Well, what you probably don't remember is you probably don't remember the customizability of the platform.
No.
So you could have like different backgrounds. You could change your colors. You could put videos. You could put your own music. You could do all sorts of stuff on the platform. You could choose which friends showed up. So like instead of just having like whatever the algorithm decided to show whoever is visiting your profile, you could make a statement and say, these are my 8 people. These are the ones that are super important to me. Right.
Yeah.
And you could put all of those up there. So, you'd have me, obviously, we know
Oh
how
yeah,
this.
first person, of course.
And so this is an interesting concept because one of the things that Neil and I have been talking about with this, and one of the ideas that I really love is the fact that the entire profile will be modular, which means that it can be reconstructed the way you want it to be, not the way that Mark Zuckerberg decided that you need to
With the layout,
experience.
yeah.
Okay. Now, that opens the door for other opportunities. So you could have, for example, a widget store, okay, where as a developer, somebody can come and say, you know what, I'm going to make a widget that does social tipping on Rep. And they make that widget. They pay a fee in Rep or Gala to get that code audited so that it's safe. And then that goes into the widget store. And then you can take that and you can go spend $1 to buy that widget. Okay. Some of that dollar goes back to the original creator. Some of it goes to the platform. And then you put that widget on your page. And so now it's connected. It works. You receive, people can give you tips. And it's your little widget on your page. Somebody could do that with a real estate application. Somebody could do it with a gardening application. Somebody could do it with any application that you particularly want. And to me, that matters so much because now you've suddenly taken this and you've opened social media up to the world's largest community of modders and creators, okay, that all have an interest in coming and building on it and then sending people to use that application. And that's something you don't have right now.
No, we definitely don't have that. We have like a banner and a PFP on most of these platforms. So cool. Like there's a lot going on here. There's treasure chests. There's a bunch of NFTs. I mean, what's the simplicity on this app? Is it going to be easy to use? Is it going to be like a bunch of crypto shenanigans? What's the plan there? For someone that knows nothing about crypto, they just like download the platform. Are we going to keep it simple, or is it just are we doing
Absolutely.
this crypto?
That the whole point of our entire motto here is to keep it stupid simple, always. And you're coming from Web 2, you will not see a difference. It will be the same complexity as what you're used to in Web 2.
Yeah, I mean, I was looking at my like crypto.com debit card, and shameless plug, but like it was so easy to use. Like I just went on there, used the card, and it was over with. I feel like that's how easy everything in not only like Web3 gaming, which is crypto games, as well as just everything like social media apps, everything needs to be simple. With this being said, I mean, you have a token. Do we have details on the token? Is it going to be simple? Are we going to have a bunch of random burn mechanisms and complexity with smart contracts, or are people going to be able to understand it?
I think that you should probably wait to see the full tokenomics model. I don't want to, get into that too much right now, but yeah, it's a well balanced token that doesn't have crazy emissions curves or things like that. So it should be pretty solid.
So do you think you just went with something like more basic that most tokens have, or did we go experimental?
Well, everything's experimental again, man. That's how it goes. But the experimental nature of it is tempered by data and experience that we have in the space for what makes the best, most reliable, most sustainable token. So in that case, it should be something that people are pretty pleased with.
Yeah, I mean, it's incredible how many different games, films, music artists,
There's so much going on, man.
social media. I mean, like, it's like, how do you even manage? I mean, you run the
I don't know.
blockchain, right? You don't
Yeah.
have anything to do with film or music or.
I'm starting to have a little bit more to do with some of them in terms of the tokenomics.
Yeah.
But in far as the business development, no, I don't.
You're just here all day. It's okay. I'll be playing Spider Tanks and I'll educate the masses on that. And so, yeah, I feel like one of the biggest things will be that marketplace. I mean, there's no marketplace right now on Gyre, which is Gala chain, right? You got to fix that on the website still. But yeah, I'm still excited. I'm super excited to finally get something concrete on Gala chain. I think everybody's been waiting for it. You know, I think, you know, the value is still to be tested. It's obviously very experimental, as is always Gala things. What do you think is the single most important thing on this app? What do you think excites you the most? What do you think people need to know about this app that is just going to blow it out of the water? Competition, out of here. What makes it special?
Yeah, I think it's the treasure hunts.
The treasure hunts?
Yeah, I think it's the treasure hunts. It's the thing that will bring all of the entire ecosystem together.
Yeah, I think like the only other company doing this is Niantic, and they've got like Niantic Lightship, and it's Pokemon Go was this crazy, and people you'd be surprised, it's still very popular. If you go in the App Store, Pokemon Go still has millions of downloads every month. So it's just a massive success at this point, and I'm just excited to see more things coming for Gala. I think that's pretty much going to be it. You know, it was awesome to have you all here. I'm excited to see what ends up coming from this. I mean, I'm actually like, trust me, I've been waiting for an OTC marketplace for spider tanks, and I've been waiting for a place to like centralize the hub that's not just Discord, because Discord feels like it's the only place to get your Gala Gold information, and it sucks sometimes. So it's going to be nice to have a rep out there.
It does, man.
Yeah, 100%. But it was a pleasure to have you. I think we're going to get this one out there. People are going to love it. Till the next time. Ladies and gentlemen, you better use that code right there. Stay classy, and that's all.